Hello, people of the internet, and welcome. My name is Daniel K. Hargrove, and this is Gather Your Allies. I'm super excited for you all to hear this conversation that I had with VJ Harris, aka VJ Creations. They are an absolutely incredible content creator and honestly an amazing game designer with a very storied history that we'll get into. It is incredibly fun getting to talk to them at any point. So, us being able to sit down and have this conversation was absolutely wonderful. And I hope you find it just as enriching as well. And then just bear with me a little bit in this video. We did have some technical difficulties when it came to the audio. I did my best to edit it as much as I could, but hey, sometimes that just ends up happening, but I do hope you stick around and listen to the knowledge that is in there. It is a really, really great conversation. But with that being said, thank you so much for clicking on this podcast. Thank you so much for supporting over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Daniel K. Hargrove. When you support over there, you get videos early like this. And yeah, you help keep the lights on and help make this an actual career. So thank you so much for all the support to everyone who's over there on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. But with that, that's enough from me. Go ahead and enjoy the show. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Gather Your Allies, the show where we talk about the intersection between art and life. My guest that I have today is someone who has plenty of accolades underneath their belt. And let me tell you, hold on, let's start this off right. Writer, game designer, and advocate for the marginalized. You might know some of their work, but also you've probably seen them in a comment section near you battling some of the most bigoted people on the internet. We'll get into that. Some of their notable works can always be found on the DMs Guild. They have a massive library of work underneath their belt, but one in particular that always deserves to shine is Elf and Orc Had a Baby, which I believe is on its third volume.
It is on its technically fourth volume.
Technically fourth volume, gotcha. And they have plenty of work with MCDM with projects like Arcadia and Flee Mortals, which is credited as an inspiration on the recent Daggerheart that just released, which we will get into. But again, we need to start things off right with talking about the individual behind all of this, the mastermind, who has been an incredible mutual over this past, I'd say, 2 years I've been on this platform. And it's kind of wild that we have not had much time to actually speak to one another one-on-one. But I am so happy that we are getting to do that now. And I just have to say, you've always been an inspiration. You've always been an advocate. And I think to start things off, I want to ask you the question that I think so many people have always wanted to ask you. Where the hell do you find the time to respond to all these people in the comment sections who say all of these wild things? Because you will be on I've seen you on every single platform advocating, fighting against the most bigoted people possible on the internet. How do you do it? Where do you find the time and the energy?
I'm gonna be really real with you. It's the mental health issues a little bit. I'm gonna be real. I say that specifically because I know that I have a hyperfixation problem when it comes to things, and one of the things that triggers it is like bigotry and inequality, and I get kind of hyper focused on things, and then I'm also kind of a night owl. Like I'll usually be to bed by 1, maybe a little bit past that. And so it's like, okay, I get like because I work from home, I set my own schedule. Pretty much what happens is, let's say I see something fucky first thing in the morning, right? I can be like, okay, if I spend 3 hours on this throughout the day, I gotta give 3 hours of my work time back to the evening time. So it's really like a combination of me being lucky enough to work from home, and still have that be a career that's paying for things, me getting hyper fixated on things, which is not the healthiest thing. I'm working on that, and I'm able to pull back and still interact, because even if the hyperfixation is gone, is still very much like, hey, I'm going to address these topics because I do care about them deeply. um but previously it was very much heavy hyperfixation that was you need to take a break.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I have the schedule outside of the days where I run paid games. It's
Mhm.
my days are very flexible, so I have the time that a lot of people don't have to be doing this.
Mhm. So, I mean, just just speaking on that in general. I mean, the nerd culture, internet culture in general, online in particular, can be
Mhm.
a pretty hostile place. So, I mean, how have you been able to navigate that, and what sort of changes, if any, have you seen in the space over the years that you've been a part of it?
I found out about D&D in 2015, and then I fell madly in love with it. I
Yeah.
found out about the community, I think, in, like, 2018, I think it was 2019, and then I was like, "Hey, can I do reviews for your stuff so that I can get more TTRPG stuff?" And I did a bunch of reviews. They're
Mm.
all still on my website, all the ones that I've done. I think there's maybe one that I took down because the person that designed it turned out to be a creep. Yeah, and side note, hate when a person is a creep and they make a really cool project because it was really cool. Like, you motherfucker. But they're also there. And then there was a conversation that happened in the space about like race in TTRPGs and like D and
Mm.
D, and I was like, oh, I can contribute to this. I have a degree in African American and queer studies, and and public relations, and I was like, oh, I can contribute. And then I like from that, a bunch of people like wanted me to contribute to um race-based supplements. And then Adam was like, "Hey, you want to do an elf and an orc? Had a little baby," and I was like, "Yeah," and it just kind of took off from there. So like, I got a rich. It's partly that I like the people that gave me my introduction into design and the
Yeah.
people that I was reaching out to like what's the word I'm looking for to do reviews for. I got lucky that I for the most part, save for that one person, that I didn't reach out to anybody that was actually a horrible person that I didn't like, wasn't able to tell.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got pulled into the design space by a really good designer and a really good friend of mine now. Like, kudos to Adam. Love him so much. And from there, because that like I had that initial good even if it wasn't like it wasn't even I wouldn't even call it a close circle. I wouldn't even call the people that I was doing the reviews for acquaintances, like just fellow
Mhm.
people in the space. But I got lucky that those were good people. Adam was a good person, and then from there, it was easy for me to like start building my circle and community, so that I 9 times out of 10, or mostly 10 times out of 10, I wasn't in my direct community. I wasn't having to interact with these bigots. If I wanted to go and interact with a bigot, it was a choice I was making
Yeah.
almost exclusively. Obviously, we're raised in the same society. We all have our biases and stuff. So there have obviously been times when it's like, oh, somebody in my space is like perpetuating like a bias they have, and I've
Mhm.
had opportunities to talk to them and we've course corrected, right? But like when I'm
Yeah.
talking about like neo Nazis, the whole 9 yards.
Mhm.
I never had to deal with someone like that in the direct community I have, whether it's the close community or the wider acquaintance community,
Yeah.
or just like close friends, wider acquaintances. I haven't had to deal with that, and like I said, it's partway lucky in how I got in the space, and then it was very specific, like by design.
Gotcha. And circling back a little bit, so you said that you got your degree in queer studies and sorry, what
African
was your
American
degree in
studies.
American studies? Gotcha. So what was it that led you to that in particular?
Right. So I got a dual major, public
Mm.
relations, because I was like, okay, I need a normal degree to fall back onto if my other stuff didn't work. Because I wrote a lot in college. I have a poem that's in the Library of Congress. I can't even remember what it's called. And it's under my dead name, so I'm like, it's whatever. It's there.
Okay.
um, and like I did a lot of that writing, so I was like, I also wanted to get a creative writing degree. They only had I
Okay.
went to the University of Alabama. They only had a minor, but I was like, no, I want a major. I don't want a minor in this. And they had
Mm.
this thing called the New College, which lets you like smash together different subjects to create a degree, and then in order to get that like degree at the end, you do essentially a mini dissertation for like you pick a topic and it has to incorporate like your various things.
Mhm.
But when I got to like I knew I wanted creative writing as a double major. When I got to the school, we went on a tour for the communications course because originally I was going to do journalism, but the person who was doing the PR tour was hotter. So it's like, oh, let's check this out actually.
Easy.
And it was smart because I almost failed
Yeah.
the journalism course when I took it in a
Gotcha.
senior year. Like I wasn't built for that type of writing. I was built for like
Mm,
creative like writing that didn't have as much of that structure that journalism had.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I knew I wanted a minor or a major in that. I didn't automatically like it, it wasn't until they were like, "Hey, you have to do two things." And I was like, "Okay, what am I doing here?" And then I was like, or I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna match these up." I didn't have to know what my like thesis for it was going to be until
Mm,
like my junior year of things, and I picked spanking in the Black community, specifically doing interview styles in the way that Max Brooks's World War Z does it, like the like
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it incorporated the like um it incorporated like the black identity queerness as well because that can have a like a part in like spanking and abuse and stuff when it comes to our community. Obviously not saying
Mhm.
it doesn't apply to everybody else, but like I was focusing
Yeah,
on my community to
exactly.
fix an issue I saw. And then it also had the creative writing aspect because I was taking this format to make it more like readable. I think one of the great failings of like academic research that is aimed at education for people is not making it more digestible. I'm not saying don't have your sources and stuff in it, but I am saying we have to meet people where they are.
Mhm.
And so that's where the like creative aspect came in. Um and yeah, that's how I like got that like dual the the creative writing degree is an interdisciplinary studies degree with like the creative writing with a focus in African American and queer studies specifically. So like if you look at my um, college diploma, it'll say like that and then public relations, or no, it'll say interdisciplinary and then communications with public relations. Like
Okay, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Uh, just us Southerners with our communications degrees. But yeah, you know, and you kind of see that show up in your work. You know, so you have that degree, you have that experience, you have that mindset of exploring and understanding the complexities of race and all the different elements of how it's shaped within the environment and misconceptions and all these different notions about what race is. And then you go into your work and you're trying to unpack race in the tabletop space, specifically the fantasy realm, the D&D realm. That's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do, especially when the topic of race gets brought up in the Dungeons and Dragons community as a whole. It immediately gets very, very toxic very quickly with even just trying to broach the subject,
mhm.
no matter how nuanced you are, patient, kind, you keep treat it with as much kitty gloves as possible. So how did you go about initially navigating exploring the topic of how race is handled in our fantasy worlds, you know, starting out to how do you handle it now? What has that journey
Mm.
been like?
So I will say when I was initially doing it, I was I don't think gun ho is the right word. I was a
Mm.
lot more like grab a motherfucker by the shoulders, be like, "You're
Yeah.
gonna listen to this.
You're
Shut
more
up."
much more aggressive with it, like
Yes,
yeah.
much like yeah, much more aggressive about it. Like I had all of these like and I still have I still have these ideas and thoughts about it, but I had all this and then I was like, "No, you're bigoted. You're gonna shut the hell up when I tell you this shit because I know what I'm talking about and you don't know what you're talking about."
Mhm.
You know what they say, you get more flies with honey than vinegar.
Yeah.
That not in don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anybody who comes into this conversation with that energy is incorrect. But if
Mhm.
you're trying to, I guess it's the question of what you're trying to do. Are you trying to like, are you trying to get them to like are you trying to navigate them into a specific place so that
Mm.
they're like able to get there along with you, or is this more of a like, hey, I'm gonna talk shit to you until you understand? Because I think both have like valid like things, like so like I like to pull it away. I remember I can't God, I wish I could remember the program that it was on, but there was I saw it on TV once. There was this white supremacist who was like, I stopped being a white supremacist because everybody treated me poorly. Everybody in my life treated me like garbage, and I didn't
Yeah.
like it, and I didn't want them to stop. Versus, God, I can't remember his name, but the black guy that talked to a bunch of KKK members that, like,
Yeah.
apparently like put their robes down, right? And
Yeah.
like, so the two approaches, like, not saying that one is better than the other, although I need to do a little bit more about the KKK bit because I keep
Yeah, that
hearing
one,
rumors.
the story's a little,
Well, because I keep hearing rumors like
it's a little weird.
they didn't really put it down all the way, but let's assume that part of it did work, like kind of
Yeah.
navigated them to a place alongside of you rather than like the bullying energy, which both can work. It's just
Hmm.
it depends on which approach you're trying to go for here. Um,
Yeah.
and so I started off with the bullying. And don't get me wrong, I do still bully people sometimes about it when they get on my fucking nerves. Like, if I hold your hand for 5 videos, if I hold your hand for 5 videos, multiple comments, da 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 da, present evidence, textual, and you're still being a little shit to me, I am going to talk shit
Yeah.
to you, actually. So it just like, so I started off with this. Like, I had a lot of fiery energy about it. I was really frustrated because my introduction to D&D was really great. It was with my group of friends. I started
Hmm.
out at a local friendly gaming store in Tuscaloosa when I was still in college, and even there, like I met the majority of that friend group that I started playing with because of that, because of that community. And sometimes I
Yeah.
still go back and I don't have any horror stories from that from the gaming store. So I think I got really lucky as
Mm.
a black trans person at the time. I think I got really lucky with that. And then when it was just us playing privately, my friends aren't racist, like,
Yeah.
aren't bigots. Like, obviously, like I said, we all have biases. But if something came up, I'd be like, "Hey, this felt weird. Like, can we talk about it?" They'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll do better." Like one and done. It was fine.
Hmm.
And so my community was a great one that I got started in, and I didn't have to deal with all the shit that I see people talking about all the time. And so when I got into space and I'd see that, I'd be so pissed off. Like, no. This is not how the community's supposed to be. This like what my experience should be the universal one. You people shouldn't be ruining this for people. So it really pissed me off. And obviously that still
Yeah.
does piss me off. There's a reason why I love being new players' first table and stuff because I want to set an expectation for them to have a really good time with the game. Like they deserve what I got. Um,
Hmm.
but God, I think I lost the thread here. But
No, no, you good. Yeah.
but yeah, so that's where the fiery angriness came from. And then as I got older and I like started to reevaluate like how do I want to handle this? I went
Mm.
more mostly to like, okay, I'm gonna try and guide them along this path with me. And I have seen evidence that that works for me. I think the bullying part only works. I don't think it works all the time, just like I don't think this part works all the time, but I think you have to have a lot more people bullying someone than just your individual self. And like typically when somebody needs to be bullied that way, I'm just like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. You've literally pissed me off. And so I don't know what the end result is for those people at that point. Like I block them
Mm.
and be like, all right, maybe they'll get better. They're not in my, I'm never interacting with them again. But because I keep doing this and I see people like having the conversations and changing in my comment sections, I'm like, okay, so I know 100% that this works. This could work too, but I'm not following up with these people. They've done too much for me to want to do that after this.
Exactly. Like there's I think the best way I've figured out how I've wanted to navigate it is like there's an artistry to the call out.
Hmm.
There's a artistry to figuring out what's the appropriate way to approach uh, uh what you're doing because we had the I won't say the name of the channel, but I had one person who I did a call out video on because the way that they were talking about like guys, we just need to bring back slavery into D&D. Uh, and I didn't want to. I don't want to bring that person up because I did look them up, and they're like going through like a terrible time right now with
Hmm.
medical issues with their child. So I'm like, well, don't want to do that. But initially when that call out video, it's so interesting when you see when there's like this like shame or humiliation aspect to it, how much it garners an audience in that regard,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
people sometimes aren't really there to get the knowledge. They're just there for, ooh, I want to see you humiliate this person.
Hmm. Hmm.
So over the course of and I haven't had a platform in a sense like this for that very long. So I had to very quickly adapt and be like, I don't think I
Ooh.
like the way people are interacting with this. I think I need to change my approach to something that's more educational but stern when it needs to be, because
Mhm.
even in even when you're getting a positive reaction, sometimes you're just like, I don't like where this is going. I don't like the vibe behind this.
Mhm, mhm,
I
yeah.
feel like I'm garnering it in the wrong way. But yeah, I mean, again, people have seen you stand up so much and for so many different things and be an advocate, and your political activism and your social activism has always been a part of your work, always been a part of your platform. But as you're looking at the span of the projects you've created thus far, I'm gonna have to ask you, give me your top five. What's your top five? Like, people sitting here right now, they're like, gosh, this VJ here, they've really they've really got it going on. They really got their head on straight. I
Yeah.
really need some recommendations. What's those five projects where you're like, yeah, I did that. I
Okay, so
did that.
first, I'm gonna consider all of an Elf and an Orc as one project because then
Okay.
that'll be like 4 right off the bat. So
Yeah.
all of an Elf and an Orc Had a Little Baby. Again, the first one was my first introduction into the TTRPG. No, wait, actually, that's not true. My first project that I ever designed was Restless, laying incorporeal undead to rest. Got a copper bestseller. It's
Mm,
kind of garbage. I gotta go back and redo it, like with the design knowledge I have now.
yeah.
But volumes 1 through 4 for an Elf and Orc Had a Little Baby. My biggest, like my okay. I don't know if I would say, like, right now it's my magnum opus. Maybe there'll be something else that comes along that's that. But right now it's that. Like, the first one has gotten an adamantine bestseller, which, like, I think 0.4% of any products ever do. Like, we're up there with, like, people like making, like, we've sold over 5,000 units of that game,
True.
of that system. Yeah, and like it was made from a place of, hey, there's bigotry in the space, there's bigotry in the writing. I want to correct that and also give people more choices. Like I
Mm-hmm.
like I'm when it comes to design, I love making subsystems because I love giving players more choices for things. And Elf
Yeah.
and Orc is like, okay, so we got all 4 of those, and like the
Yeah.
fourth volume is in the Elf and Orc volumes, but it's specifically for people that want to play like awakened creatures, so like an owl bear or
Mm,
a displacer beast or an or owl bear displacer beast, whatever. Right? It's
yeah.
not like the other ones, which are like,
The
um,
traditional, more
yeah,
humanoid,
yeah, traditional
playable races.
playable races or
They're playable.
humanoid
Yeah. A loaded
monsters, right?
phrase.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, so Elf and Orc Had a Little Baby, number 1.
Mm.
Oh God, what are my other 4? Oh, Scientific Secrets of Icewind Dale. I was on that project. I
Mm.
made this thing called the Frigid Doom. It's based off a tardigrade, yeah, because they'll latch onto an organism and suck like their marrow out. And so what
Yeah.
I did for this, it does take a little bit more work for a GM, is instead of having it do set damage, it's based on your hit dice. Right, and there's like a clear written like thing, like, hey, here's how this is, like 3 different scenarios, like, hey, here's how this is explained. So, for example, if you were a barbarian warlock mix, because you have a D12 and a D8, it's like, okay,
Mhm.
you could pick you can stick with the dice that they have the most of. You can mix and match if you want. You can go with the dice they have the lowest of. Like, it all really depends on how you want to handle it. But
Mhm.
I really liked that design of it, like, um because it that means it's dangerous no matter how many hit points your character has. It's
Yeah.
because it's based, or the player has, because it's based on their own hit dice.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, Scientific Secrets of Icewind Dale. Um, oh, also that I'm going to include in Elf and Orc Had a Little Baby is parentage. Oh, wait. Actually, never mind. Third, I've done a bunch of versions of an Elf and an Orc for like people that
Yeah.
like the system and like put it in other systems, right?
Oh,
So,
okay.
like, hold on a second. Can I pull up let me pull up the DM's Guild and look up my name. Let's see. God, please let this be my name correctly. Wait, nope. There's another thing in there. Okay. So let's see. Playing Possum, a collection of 4 animal folk player origins. I was involved in that. Um, Drow the Multiverse, which didn't have the elf and an orc like flavor and orcs of the multiverse.
Mm.
I would say it's just me like helping make like more sub races for things. I would also put that in there. And what's the other one? There's one more that I was Dritz's travel log of everything volume 2 also has like elf and an orc thing. So anything that's like the point system and stuff, I'd count in that top. All of it's good. There's
Yeah.
also I did Beings from Beyond the Horizon, which was like sci-fi stuff for when like Spelljammer and shit happened. It was really good, and it was me and Dale Kingsmill that did it together. I really got to go back and start advertising some more of this stuff to people. But so
Yeah.
that Scientific Secrets with Icewind Dale, the what was it called? One of the Arcadia articles that I did was
Mm.
a monster. What was it called? I think it's not called Monster Parts. It's I can't remember the title, but it's issue 8 of Arcadia, and it's
Mm.
about harvesting from creatures and allowing that to empower your spells. I think I did a really good job on those designs, so much so that they brought me back to like add more to it because people loved it. Like
Yeah.
it was the first thing I ever wrote for Arcadia. It literally Matt was on a stream. It was like, oh, Monstrous Components. That's what it was called. Matt was like, oh
Monster.
yeah, Monstrous Components is one of the best things I've seen in Arcadia, and I was like,
I think I saw that. I believe Matt cut that out as a part of like and put it in a video. I believe because I've been always watches like running the game sort of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So I believe him mentioning stuff like that from Arcadia. So
I saw that and I literally was like, because I really like Matt's design stuff. I was like, oh
yeah.
my god, this um Arcadia for that. And then number 4, I did a charity adventure called Fight to the Top, and it was
Mm.
essentially like the little thing is, and I must say tonight that a riot is the language of the unheard. Um and it was essentially like all of the like people that were downtrodden by like the upper echelons of Shoal Peak were rising up and like trying to change like the place. And I had a couple of encounters that I put in there that I was really proud of and excited for, especially because I really loved the actual premise of it. And then number 5, I think I. So here's the thing. Part of me feels like I should say the indie TTRPG that I designed, but it needs a complete rework. Like I used to take like a couple of 12-hour drives,
Hey,
but it needs a
listen,
complete rework.
listen. What if it means so much to you?
It
It
doesn't.
should be in the top 5.
Okay, Hunt's
You know what I
RPG.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I like vampires. I like vampires a lot, which is a game of cat and mouse where
Mhm.
you are working for the DMEO, the Department of Magical Entities and Occurrences.
I love it
And
already.
right, mind you, the DMEO was created for like like creative writing fiction I wanted to do, and I was like, I can
Yeah.
bring this into a game. And essentially, you're a vampire agent who is sent to hunt other vampires.
Mm.
And you're kind of like always trying to deal with the anger and hunger that comes with your circumstances. Like the DMEO, not a good place for vampires, right? Humans are in charge of you. They treat you like shit. Sometimes you'll get a good handler, sometimes you want. They ration you out for blood. Like it's a
Mm.
really hard existence for agents.
Yeah.
And some people like they get into it thinking they're going to be doing something really helpful for people, and it turns out, I mean, kind of. And and like one of the things is you're probably when you bring in a rogue alive, they're probably going to experiment on that person. So
Mm.
like, and they do expect you to bring in rogues alive as much as possible. But the game starts off with you hunting rogues across the United States, and it's like it's a card game. It's based on the Firelight system by Fari RPG, and you're tracking your hunger and your anger because if you bottom out on either end, you become a rogue and you turn into a specific type of rogue, right? And then the
Mm.
second half of the game is you being a rogue and trying to escape from fellow vampires. And there's no happy ending in this. There's like
Yeah.
no happy ending here. Like one of two things happens at the end of this. Either one, you get captured or killed, and
Mm.
if you get captured, you're probably gonna get experimented on. 2, you don't get captured, like somebody from your community prior to being a rogue finds you and brings you into like a blood addiction treatment thing, but that means you're struggling for the rest of your life with that thing that you
With
have.
managing
Exactly.
that
So
drinking blood.
yeah, it's very much a like
Mm.
because I love a sad little game. I love a game that like tries to handle addiction while um I've had addiction problems. I'm like almost like 10 years clean at this point. I'm very excited about that. And so I was
Yeah.
like I like this like this struggle to this struggle with like what's the word I'm looking for? The struggle with a necessity that is also something
Mm,
that can drive you to over the edge to something that's like you never wanted to become in the first place.
yeah, yeah, that's powerful. And you were almost about to take that off of your top
I
5. What the
know, but
hell?
I was like, it needs a
That
complete
needed
rework.
to.
Like that,
I, hey,
it's
hey, hey!
available on itch
Listen,
already, but it
listen.
needs like I had this. I was like, yo, I had a complete brain blast about it. I've got
Yeah,
the voice recordings about like changing, and I was like, I have to take some time to
do
make this
do
change.
it, and then run a little one shot with it. Hey, give me the call. I'll be there. You know. But I mean that's part of the beauty of tabletops, and exploring various systems. And when people create, it's so interesting getting to see my mutuals when they show off their designs and the games that they've created, and how it's an exploration of their interests and also a reflection of them in just such a beautiful way. So I always love to see the games my friends come up with. So please, yes, 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 share it with the world. Don't worry about whether or not the design was correct and if the mechanics were balanced. I want to see that expression. Is absolutely a beautiful thing. But that's an incredible top 5. Obviously, everyone should check out those projects. However, there is one other project that you were a part of as a designer. A little project, a little small one called Flea Mortals
Flea Mortal should be
by
in there as well. I completely forgot I
MCDM.
was in that for a second. I was
No,
like,
no,
Flea
no, no,
Mortals
no.
is in
You
that game.
already gave your 5th slot, and it
Okay,
was a
six
perfect
top
5th
six. You
choice.
should check out Flea Mortals.
All right, there we go. But the reason we bring up Flea Mortals is because in the introduction of daggerheart, the new system by Critical Role, Darrington Press, all that sort of stuff, yada yada yada, you already know. In that system, in the very introduction of the rule book, Flea Immortals is credited as the inspiration for their monster design. So when
Mhm.
you popped open that book and saw that in there, how did that feel to see?
I was like, jaw dropped for a moment. I was like, God damn. I Oh, that's something I made influencing this game. Me and so many other like amazing creators, obviously. And I was like, damn,
So
that's
yeah,
me right there. That's me.
so yeah, I mean, before we even start talking about how the monsters are the designed in Daggerheart, overall, how are you feeling about the system? Initial reaction,
Right. So first,
because
if I had to give
everything's
it a
fresh.
yeah, a 1 out of 10, I'd give it a solid 8. I really
Mm,
like it. There are a couple there's like one major thing that I really would have liked to see in here that I didn't see that like has lowered it a little bit for me. But overall, and I'll tell you more about that in a second, but overall,
yeah.
for anybody that's seen my TikTok, I think the ancestries and communities are solid. I don't think there's anything revolutionary happening there, but that's fine. Not everybody, Banana Chan, not everybody can be Connie Chang or Banana Chan, right? Making
Mm,
these like revolutionary, amazing shit. Um, or wait, I take that back. Not every game can be a Banana Chan or Connie Chan game, right?
yeah.
Like, I think people have the capability to make amazing revolutionary things, but not every game's going to be that. And just having a solid game that people are going to have fun with and enjoy is an accomplishment. And like, as shitty as it is, hitting the bare minimum of what you should be doing in the space as far as it comes to like ancestry design and stuff is still
Hmm.
good. Like, I don't need you to go.
Compared to
If you,
everything else,
yes, if
compared to what the standard is.
yes, I don't need you to like. If you go, if you've exceeded the standard,
Yeah.
and that's the bare minimum for the correct way, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Bare minimums, it's like, hey, that's a passing grade, and it's not
You
a bad
start
grade.
somewhere.
Yeah,
A C, it gets you through, you know?
exactly. And like, and again, I don't think C's are bad grades. I think they are
Yeah.
solid grades. They get you where you're going.
Hmm.
And A's and B's are like getting you into like that revolutionary stuff. A lot of games are C's in a good way, not in like a,
Hmm.
how society treats C's. Um, and so I like that. I like the classes. I think having just two like subclasses domains is like a really good choice, and having them have like and keeping them concise and having them have a solid identity and keeping that true along all of the classes. Because if you play D&D, you know which class gets the most love, the wizard. Um, that shit's ridiculous. There's
I
too
mean,
many, like it's too much. And but
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? As a wizard main, I don't know what you're talking about. We love. Did you see the 2024 revisions? We hardly got anything.
Okay.
I'll tell you who gets it too good. Those doggone charisma casters.
Not you talking about the warlock right now. I will fight you. I will reach through the screen and
You doggone charisma casters, let me tell you, you all got it good.
hey, the Hexblade Warlock got shit on. All right, don't tell me we got
I
a good
heard
that
that
shit.
the
I
revision
got to do a video about
wasn't
that.
too
I keep
good.
forgetting to do that. I got to put that on my to-do list actually. Okay, but the classes are very solid. The
Yeah.
system's very solid. Like when I was reading it, it very much gave me like Power by the Apocalypse, Monster of the Week vibes, and like in regards to like, hey, your moves. We don't really have initiative. Obviously, if you want to do initiative, you can, but it's just like a conversation between each other. Like I do like those types of games. I love a
Mm-hmm.
good Monster of the Week game. I like the use of like different, like not your standard dice, because a lot of times you see a d20 is the main thing, d6s are the main things, and like they're still like, I think the whole array of dice are still in here, but you've got 2d12 that are your main
Main
dice.
dice.
Yeah, and it's like obviously the d20 and the d6 and the d8 and come in
Mm-hmm.
for like damage, special abilities, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
and the D20 is always going to be used by the dungeon master. And it was really
mhm,
interesting hearing when you read the core rulebook, their reasoning behind it, saying that with 2D12s, you're going to more consistently for players get your hope back, that main resource.
mhm,
While with the D20, it's important for the game master to have that because they're going to get wild results. They're going to
mhm,
get terrible rolls and incredible rolls, so it makes
mhm.
the adversaries more dynamic.
Exactly, and I think that's a great. I think it's a great way to handle it. I was like, man, I'm sitting over here like I got to run this game. Like I literally got the whole shebang on Demiplane the other
Mm-hmm.
day, and I'm like, I got to run this fucking game. Like if a game can tell me, they can get me to do that upon my first read, I'm like, okay, it's cool. Now the one thing that knocked it down from like a 9.5 for me,
All right, tell us
is
what's that one gripe you got with Daggerheart? What you got?
okay. I think the way they've written the like disability in the game is great. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's awesome. I think one of the things I would have liked to have seen more of is more guidance um for GMs and players who want to like mechanize that, right? Because for example, I'm running a what if arcane game on Fridays, and I
Mm-hmm.
have a number of players who are like, "Hey, I want my character to experience chronic pain, either because they experience it themselves, or they're like, hey, I think this would fit with my character." And another
Mm-hmm.
player who's autistic, who that is also carrying over into the character, and was like, "Hey, I'd like to find a way to like sometimes mechanize this so I can have some role playing guide like cues
Mm-hmm.
for my character." And I've had, and mind you, the like chronic pain systems and stuff didn't have to do that from scratch. My buddy Alex is like Sword Ghost online. Um, uh, in the game that we were playing, Strange Hungers also made a like chronic pain system for another player that had chronic pain, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, how, like, can I see how y'all made this system? Because one of my players wants to do it too." And so I got that guidance from them, and then could bring it over. And I think there are like players who either like have those what's the have those disabilities that they're going to
Yeah.
want to not just have it in a flavor wise, but also have it like in a mechanical sense to help them with like either because they're like, hey, I really want this to like be this, or like, hey, I'm looking for role playing cues for when this stuff happens. Like, can you help? And so I think giving some guidelines on how to implement that stuff would have been really great for this, especially because they already have this really great section on disability and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
like when I was reading, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was so expecting that to be in that section as well because that was a really well done section. So yeah, like that's my one little gripe about it.
Yeah, and it is interesting in certain places where they're in the book where they're like, yeah, this is a good way to handle this. Here's some recommendations for handle how to handle certain things. And other ones, they're just like, I don't know, bro. You just got to figure it out yourself, dog. I mean, I don't know. We can't talk to your GM. I don't know, dude. That does come up quite a bit because we've gotten to play Daggerheart. We started a campaign. We played through one session. Our next session's about to start out very soon. I think yeah, this upcoming Tuesday. So, but in between playing we started the first session with the beta material, and then we went into the full release. Now, so much is changing in between those two sessions. But one of the questions my GM asked was like, "Wait, with the avoid death thing, like, does that if a player chooses that option, that means you can't have that moment of, oh no, like our friend is unconscious, we have to protect them because we don't want them to get struck while they're down." But like in the writing, it says they can't be hit by an attack after this, and they just have to be brought up by the teammate. But if you don't want that to happen, talk to your GM. I was like, oh, okay. I think we could have had like a little bit more guidance
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
There's
yeah,
still
that
places where that happens. So it's like, okay, that's why that's why you lost that point and a half for me.
hmm yeah, because that does yeah, it shows up in a lot of aspects because it's so strange. Like they'll go super in depth with something like the wheelchair combat wheelchair mechanics. And you're like, well, this is great. It's got an upgrade system. It's got a tier
Mhm,
system. They've
mhm,
fully fleshed this out and
mhm.
integrated this properly into the game. But then they'll have other stuff again, like you said, with the disabilities. And be like, I don't know, dog. Hey,
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like
good luck.
I'm really glad that they had that in there. Like again, I'm looking back at it again. First off, fuck me, that artwork is so good. Like they really they
Yeah,
cooked with this shit. It was so
it's
good.
really good.
But yeah, like like what they had in here, it's really good. Like which is another reason why when I was looking at it and reading it, I was like, okay, so yeah, you're definitely losing points because I'm not saying we had to have like this exact same, but I was like, hey, if somebody wants to mechanize something, here are some examples. Like, oh, a
hmm
chronic pain system, like an anxiety system. Oh, wait, that's another one. One of my players who also deals with anxiety wanted that system as well, and we had to like figure that out together. Like some
Yeah.
examples on how to mechanize that stuff would have been like really helpful and useful for GMs that have players that want to do that. But like having this extra bit, and I was like, bros, generalists, obviously. I was like, homies, you you could have put a little bit more to like
Yeah.
help here.
Yeah, because I think about that too. Because I'm going back to that campaign that I'm in. I mean, we're doing a zombie apocalypse, right?
Mhm.
And our first episode is a prequel where we show everyone's life everyone's life on the very first day of the outbreak. So everyone starts the episode living their normal life, and then everyone's life goes to hell over the course of that 4 hour session. And the next episode is 20 years later, and that's where our campaign starts fully. And I was like, oh, I wonder like what it'd be like if I explored like I don't want to like necessarily do PTSD. I don't feel like I'm the right person to portray something like that, but it would be interesting if mechanically if like if
Mhm.
something comes up and reminds me of something that traumatic happened on that day, if like mechanically we work something in there. But again, there isn't really that support for
Yeah.
that in the game, and that's just even something as simple as like, oh, you're having a flashback to something like that, especially when you have the experience system. It would be interesting if you had somewhat of an inverse of that, not necessarily like a trauma system, but or a sort of like neuro I
Yeah.
don't know what's the proper word for it, but like an inverse of the experiences reaction where it's like, okay, now these are things that can distort roles in a different way.
Mhm, mhm. No, exactly. Like I think that would have been like, and mind you, I don't think it's something that's hard to do. Like it takes
Mm,
time and dedication, but I don't think it's hard. Like whenever I make systems like these for my players, it's like it's a twofold. It's like, hey, so two ways to approach this. One, like so for example, with the chronic pain, right? How
mhm.
me and the players two players right now, there's a third player that I need to make it for. Because I tailor it to their like the overall thing happens, but I tailor it to what exactly they're having like chronic pain from. Like one player has like some weird shit going on, like internally. Another
Yeah.
player had a traumatic brain injury, and another player has like a prosthetic, which like
Mm,
some like dealing with chronic pain from that.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like, but the way I handle it's like, hey, okay, so this is the standard for this, but you always have this option. Like, you can always tell me like, hey, like because I'll tell them like, hey, roll at the top of the day, just tell me what you get, right? You might be fine. If they like fail a save, then they have to like roll to see what like little effects happen. And I'm like always like, hey, if you're telling me like, hey VJ, I actually don't want to roll this today, I just want to say my guy's fine. I was like, okay, cool. And then we're done with it. Like they always have an out for whatever's happening here, and always are like, hey, let me know if you want to add something, you want to remove something, you want to like have more like abilities to do like a free range thing, like if you fail the roll but you don't feel like any of these like fit for what you think your character's going through that day, then just like let me know what you're feeling and we can figure something out. So I think like honestly, I think you could like 2 pages would have covered like, hey, here's some examples.
Yeah.
Does require research to like know what the effects and stuff are. Like I researched like stuff about like, hey, bloodborne diseases and how that can affect people's bodies and whatnot, to try and make like a really like respectful but still mechanical thing going on. And it took time, but it wasn't hard after I'd gotten the guidance from another GM that made this
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I think it would take time to implement it in good research, but like
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, the people who helped design this, they have the ability to do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm
And you
not
see that work in other aspects that they
exactly.
talk about it. So
Exactly.
it sounds like, I don't know, it just sounds like they just need a really great game designer to do it.
Leave me alone.
I don't know who could do it. I don't know.
Stop looking at me like that.
I guess someone's just gonna have to make a supplement. I don't know.
Honestly,
Using the SRD that's available on day one.
right,
I don't know.
right. Honestly, the person I like, if I okay, if I did this because like my own like this week, like I have drop foot, which like messes with my hip. I have like OCD in my knee, which is like this like ossidicanus whatever. I can't pronounce it, and it like makes the like I got this kind of like gravelly cracking sound in my knee. I've got depression and stuff, so I could like I'm wary on like doing things of like putting out systems that are stuff that I don't have, because I'm
Yeah.
always like one of the things that I learned in creative writing, it's not like one of the questions you always have to ask yourself, are you the right one to be telling this story? Like I remember in a creative writing class, like one of the white students wrote something about like the Mexican experience and like dealing with racism or something. I can't quite remember what it was. But they weren't Mexican, and I was like, hey, I think one of the questions you have to ask, are you the right person to write this story in the first place? Like, it's a short story you're sharing with us, so it's not that big of a deal, but consider maybe you shouldn't have, like maybe like, and I knew it was like something about the Mexican experience. It wasn't just having Mexican characters, right? Which is fine, having Mexican characters and being white or not being Mexican, but it was like something specific to the identity. And I was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have been the one to write this. Like, my understanding is you aren't Mexican, which I didn't make that assumption because they were white, they were white Mexicans and like, whatever. But like, my understanding was that they weren't, from like
Yeah.
being in class with them. And so like, I'm always a little bit like, man, there's a thin line to like tread with that. But thinking about it,
Yeah, there's a thin line between like empathizing and then Amelia Perezing it,
no, exactly. But
right. But no, I see what you're saying, because I mean, even you could do something as simple as like, just creating the mechanic of, hey, you decide the specifics of what the character is dealing with. If it's long term, short term, chronic, here are some possible tables that you could use that might be able to work with your game. But no, I completely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. I think that is a very good advice that applies to so much in the artistic field, because I think a lot of people create things that they might not be the right person to do it. But you are the right person to create some monsters. So have you taken a look at some of the monsters in Daggerheart? What are you thinking? What's your initial reaction to them?
Okay, so first off, the first thing I was like, man, I really want to do a conversion like guide. Like, I want to go look at these, compare them to like the D&D and like Flea Mortals monsters, and be like, okay, what is like because I want to design. I looked at these and I was like, two things that immediately popped up in my head. One, I want to make more ancestries off of like the the
Did a lot of
because
stuff.
the elf and an orc in my blood.
Yeah.
I can't let it go. Like, I always come back to it when it comes to like TTRPGs like this.
You're like, they just keep bringing me back in every time I think them out. Yeah.
I'm back in the building.
Yes.
And then the second thing, I was looking at these and I was like, literally, I need you to know that when I was looking at this, the first thing that came to mind was I can make mind players in this system. I was like,
Mm,
I can make mind players and all their fucking little
yeah,
experiments in this system. I was
yeah.
like, oh, I'm like, hold on, let me pull up these like adversary
Yeah.
stat blocks.
God,
Like,
there was the fright. I think it was called the fright dragon. The art for that alone, or I forgot what it was specifically named, but it's like a dragon that was like the size of a mountain. I was like, let me
oh,
see
that.
some of the big stuff you got. I was like, oh
Mhm,
my
mhm.
god.
Wait, that would be tier 4. I do like that. I do
Yeah.
like how they're breaking up the tiers because, like,
Hmm.
that feels like challenge ratings, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot less like,
Cumbersome.
yeah, yeah. Challenge ratings are, excuse me, they are in fact very cumbersome. And honestly, also I want to point out some of this artwork so deeply reminds me of like Flea Mortals. Like, hold on one second,
Mm.
folks. Hold on one second, folks.
Go ahead. Take us
Come
on
on,
a tour.
come on,
Take
camera,
us on
come
a
on.
tour.
Like this is the Oracle of Doom. I
Yeah.
would expect to see this artwork in Flea Mortals. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking at this, and even if it's not even if it's not in that style, this exact same
Hmm.
style, but like the broad strokes, I would expect to see it on that. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I love that. But where is this dragon? Where is this this volcanic? Okay, so volcanic dragon. There's the ash tyrant. How am I looking for? Where is this motherfucker? You said fear.
Looks like there's something dragon. Ridiculous.
It might be the volcanic dragon, the
Volcanic,
Ashen
yes.
Tyrant, because this thing is
Yes.
fucking huge.
It's amazing. I was like, I
Huge.
I need that in every game, every campaign, even if it doesn't make sense. I need him in there.
No, exactly. Like,
Let him be an NPC,
mhm.
please.
I'm loving this, and it's like, oh God, I'm sitting over here like, man, I want to design guys for this. I
Yeah.
want to like, and I, mind you, I have other things that I'm working on right now. I'm the
You're like,
I'm
I
the new
need to
lead,
prioritize.
right?
Yeah.
I'm the new lead designer for like Zyru, the African mythology, like
Yeah.
yeah, system that's built off of Dungeon World. I'm in a game jam that ends on the 13th. I just finished a fucking dungeon jam. I have other things. I was
Hmm.
like, I could carve out some time in the day to like do a little. But I love what I'm seeing here. When I was looking at the damage thresholds and how like streamlined the HP system and stuff was, I was like, God damn, this is good.
Hmm.
This is really fucking good, actually. And the way the stress system can be used to like mitigate some of the damage, like I like that a lot. Also,
Yeah.
okay, so I do need to go and okay. People listening to me right now, take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt because I did read this yesterday, but also like horrible memory, right? I think another thing where you could have like incorporated like the hey, here's the like chronic pain, like dealing with like mental health issues kind of thing is with the stress system. Like a separate like little like, hey,
Oh yeah.
here's an optional thing if you are also wanting to do like something around the lines of like stuff that deals with PTSD. Da 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 da. Da.
Hmm.
Obviously, there would need to been like, hey, so we use this stuff for the research, right? Various like medical professional, like either medical, like a medical professional consultant, or like, hey, this is where we got our research from, like, and maybe if you can't put it in the book, be like, hey. This is like there's a reference document for this as well where we like kind of got all this research and stuff from if you'd like to take a look at it, just to
Hmm.
see where we came from and like how you can do that in the future. But I think the stress system could have also been like a secondary thing that has the like little guy going on with it. I think that could have been really good.
Yeah, with the and I already know, like, knowing how the internet works, I know some people would watch this and be like, what kind of woke game design is this that you're talking about? But it's like, it is truly genuinely one of those things where it's like, with a game that is so narratively focused, this is one of the perfect ways to explore that sort of thing. And also, it mechanically integrate into the game. Because
Mhm.
when you explore certain subject matter like this in Dungeons and Dragons, mechanically built into the game, there's not really much to support that at all whatsoever.
Mhm.
But inherently, like you're saying, with the stress system um, and the experience and the duality die, all these different things, there are so many hope and fear. There are so many different things in place that can be
Mhm.
tooled to create an even more in-depth experience in that regard for the role play.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm just like, this could work in this. I'm
Yeah.
God. Uh, but again,
But
solid
yeah,
system. I gotta run a game in this. I'm literally sitting over here like because I had an every other Wednesday game that's ended, and I'm like, because mind you,
Mhm.
because mind you, I probably like right now I have Saturdays and Sundays, and then Mondays and every other Wednesday where I'm not running games, like Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and every other Wednesday I do run games. And I'm sitting here
Yeah.
like, maybe I shouldn't put a new game on the Wednesday slot, but what if I did?
But
What
if I
if
did? What if I did? It's an excellent question.
I did?
But I mean, yeah, Daggerheart has made a great first impression, and there's a ton of stuff that's doing well. The monsters are looking good, the system is looking good, and it has
Mhm,
a lot of room for telling some really really interesting stories.
mhm.
But is there anything else that's sticking out to you about the game that you wanted to mention in general?
I don't think so. Now, mind you, folks, I did not read I did
Yeah, we
not
did not
read
go
415 pages because
line by
I got
line.
Daggerheart like the man. When did I buy? Actually, you know what? I know exactly. I can look it up when I because I bought it through Drive Through RPG. Right?
Yeah.
First off, I'm really happy they allowed it there because if they didn't, I wasn't gonna buy it just yet because I designed through DM's Go and Direct RPG, and I always have like a couple
Mm-hmm.
$100 at least sitting in the like before they pay it out to me. And I usually
Mm-hmm.
treat that as like free money because I don't factor that into any of my bills or anything. Obviously, I factor it into taxes, but like
Yeah.
bills and stuff, I'm like, nah, I don't have to do that. So then it's just like a little treat that I
Yeah.
have there that I can
I
like
treat
do what I
myself.
want. Yeah, just a little,
It's a
little
little
thing.
sweet treat money.
Yeah. So I bought this on the 20th.
Yeah.
um, so I bought it on the 20th.
Yeah, right on release day.
Right on release day because I was like, oh, it's out. Cool. Let's take a look at it. It's been 4 days. And in between the 20th and the 4th, I had ran games and worked on my 5 room dungeon jam thing.
Mhm.
That I don't know when this is releasing, but it'll be out by then because it's going live tomorrow on the 25th.
Heck yeah.
And so and then my good friend here was like, hey, you want? I was like, we should talk about it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Mind you, I was expecting us talking about it to be like not literally 2 days from then. I was like, let me go get through this, let me go. Because like the important thing is, I was like, okay, I need to understand how the mechanics of it work. I obviously have already looked at the like races and stuff.
Mhm.
I need to look at the classes. I know what's going on in the community, and I need to like take a look at the monsters. Like those are the 5 things that I'm like, if we're talking about a system, like from a mechanical standpoint, you should read. Um, Excuse me. Obviously, there's other bits in here, so I don't have fully fledged thoughts right now because I haven't read anything. But from what I have read, it's like, yeah, they did this. They this is good.
Mhm.
Like it's an 8, and you know why it's not a 9.5 for me. And like the reason it
Yeah.
would be 9.5 and not 10, you gotta do more to get a perfect score from me. But that's true for a lot of things. And it's like
Yeah.
they did good with this. But yeah, I don't have any extra thoughts at this moment. But Lord
Yeah,
knows
no.
when I do, you'll hear about it on TikTok. So
Exactly. Like these are initial reactions
mhm,
to the system, and that's why I try to stress in everything that I've been talking about. Like all of your thoughts and opinions are going to change and evolve as you get to play the game more, as people really get to be like, actually, yeah, this game, 6 people is too much. The game really does fall apart. It's too much. Or yeah,
mhm.
yeah, the tier 3, tier 4 is unruly. It is unwieldy trying to run that game in that regard. You never know until you're actually in the midst of things and the cultures of play is being developed more and more, and you're seeing how people are pushing and breaking the game apart in that
Mhm,
regard. And then you'll really get to see, because even when I posted my initial video, I didn't write review in it. I was just like, this is just my initial thoughts with a little bit of
exactly,
gameplay experience. But
exactly.
with all that being said, you have an incredible career in this tabletop space. And with all the books that you've worked on and all these explorations that you've done into race, identity, inclusion, what do you think your work has taught you the most about yourself?
Um, Honestly, I think it's really helped solidify like who like what okay. I think the best way to answer that is to say, so when I got out of college, I first off, I never would have thought I was going to get into the design space like this. Like when
Mhm.
like I thought it was going to be like, oh yeah, it's just kind of it's like I'd be a hobby designer. not
Yeah.
someone who was like doing this full time because like originally I was working for a reproductive health organization, and then I started working for like I was working in nonprofits. Like my first I was working in nonprofits. I worked with a reproductive health organization as like a canvasser for a little bit in college, and then I moved back
Mm.
home with my parents. I moved back home with my parents for a little bit when um I like I just wasn't sure what I was doing in
Yeah.
Alabama. And so I was substitute teaching, thinking about getting my teaching certificate because I like kids. I do like the education aspect. I like that has always been like educating others has always been something I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then the nonprofit that I'd worked for, the reproductive health one, was like, "Hey, can you come be our like Alabama state coordinator, which is
Mm.
like organizing the citizens versus organizing the school students. There's
Yeah.
sometimes overlap, getting them to like start initiatives, talking to like political representatives and stuff. And so I moved back to Birmingham. I moved back to Alabama and Birmingham. Eventually, from that, moved on to like a organization that was like helping give training and stuff to like global south and like other like countries of color and stuff on
Mm.
how to help them run their own organization movements and stuff. Before I was like, okay, I got out of there. And then was I because I thought I the reason I left that particular job, nonprofits are great, the work they do is great, but the industry needs a revamp because it will wear you down. And I was like,
Mm.
I can't keep doing this. Actually, I like the work, but the culture is killing me.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that I had like a job lined up. I was like I was in the final three. I was like, yeah, I got this in the bag. So I quit,
Mhm.
and then 2 days later, I learned I didn't get the job. And then I was like, damn, what am I gonna do? You know? Um, and so uh I got into a like a POC, like marginalized identity cohort to learn how to run games and start playing. And then I got more players, and I can now that's like the part that consistently pays my bills. Like I design stuff
Yeah.
too for people, obviously, but the running games is the consistent bit. And like through doing all of that and the designing, like I already has kind of solidified the like social activism aspect of who I am as a person.
Mm.
Like no matter where I'm going to bring that with me, and I'm going to like help enact change for marginalized identities in the space that I'm in.
That's awesome. That is absolutely incredible. But I think that is where we're going to wrap things up. This is an incredible, incredible conversation. I also did not realize just how close our roots are. My whole entire mother's side of my family is from Birmingham. So like
Really?
I was born in South eventually they moved and I was born in South Carolina and then raised in North Carolina. So like yeah, like almost all my kinfolk is over there right up the street from you. So
Listen,
yeah.
maybe you know, maybe I've run into an activism space. You
I
got
know,
any
right?
family in Louisiana? Because that's where my entire mom's side of the family is. Um,
Probably, probably, but that's probably more so. I think on my wife's side has a little bit over there, but you know, Southern folk, we're only a stone's throw away from finding our next of kin.
really
But
though.
yeah, but no, this is such an incredible conversation, and it is honor and privilege to get to spend time with you and speak with you. And
All
I guess
right,
I got listen. Now
not
you're
too
gonna
much.
take this compliment, all right?
I'm being
Because
bullied.
I mean this with all sincerity on behalf of everyone who has been fortunate enough to be your friend and be a mutual of you. Thank you for everything that you do in this space. Because even though it may not feel like it when you're fighting these armies of faceless bots in these comment sections or making these videos with these just foolish individuals, I promise you that you are making this safe spacer, it's making this space safer for those who come after you and those who are here with you. So thank you for that advocacy work that you do. Never let go of that, even when it feels like the dark is all around, and when it feels like the armies of those who want to do ill are outweighing those who are trying to do good. I promise you it is making a difference. So thank you for everything you do in this community. But with that, VJ, you know, let the people know where they can find you, what you're working on, or
Yeah.
any charities, direct action, anything like that that people need to be aware of. Let them know.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First things first. First off, once again, people have been BJ Harris. My pronouns are they, them, he, him, something funny. If you have a funny pronoun, put it in the thing. What I mean by funny pronoun is like one friend said, my pronouns are he. Another like there are a couple. One friend made one about my
Oh,
glasses
it's
that I
too
can't
good.
remember what it is. So like I like little those funny neo pronouns. If you got something funny
Yeah.
about that, you can do that. So first off, you can find me everywhere as VJ's Creations. That is Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. God, Twitter, ugh, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. I stream 4 times a week, either during the day, like from like starting at 1:12 or 1 CST for co-working. So if you ever need a body double, come hang out in the chat. I have had success with one, it helps me focus, and two, I've seen it help other people get their stuff done as well. They're just hanging out with me. I'm also currently getting through my first full run through of Dragon Age Inquisition because we're gonna have an episode 2 of me talking about Dragon Age Inquisition. The first one, I barely knew anything about the game in the world. This time around, I will have played through the entire system and also read a book that my buddy gave me so I can have a more informed conversation with 3 amazing guests. I'm very excited about them. And right now I'm in a game jam, the Breathless game jam from Fari RPG, which Breathless is a kind of zombie apocalypse survival system. I'm making a little adventure for it. And I'm also trying to launch my YouTube career, I guess. I've got a couple of videos up that are like actually edited and like not just me like live streaming and putting shit up there kind of stuff. So I'm also VJ's Creations there. I can't remember if I said that for YouTube, but so if you want to find me there, you can. You can always find me as VJ Harris under the DMs Guild and Drive Through RPG if you ever want to buy something I made to support me. And I run professional games. Right now, all the games that I'm actually running are full. I will be opening up. I'm just deciding. I will be opening up a daggerheart game in the near future, and you can also hire me for $30 a head for about 4 hours to run like 1 to 2 shots for you as well. Um, I do I have remember to donate to Doctors Without Borders. They're doing a lot of great work. Remember to give direct money to like Palestinians that are doing stuff on GoFundMe. I have a GoFundMe that for a Palestinian family, not me personally, that I'm sure
Yeah, it's
I can
directly
put
on
in
your
it.
link tree. All that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
definitely going to be in the comments.
Yeah, it'll be in the comments. It's on my link tree, which will also be in the comments somewhere, so you know where to find it. And I've also got a friend that's battling cancer, that has a GoFundMe for that. So if you want to give to that as well, also will be in the comments on my link tree. But yeah. Oh, sorry. One last thing.
Go ahead.
Right now, if you want me to design a free monster for you, you can, yeah, whether it's 5e, 2024, 2014, or Flea Mortal style. I am doing that to try and build a portfolio of monsters to offer my services in a non-commercial fashion. So, and I don't feel comfortable using like some of the stuff I got paid to do for it. It feels a little weird. And so if you want me to make something for you for free, there's a Google form in my link tree as well that you can fill in. And the only caveat is you have to, like, if you fill that in and I make it for you, it is going to be used as a portfolio piece for that. But yeah, get in while it's free. Thank you so much, folks.
Do not miss out on that opportunity.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
as soon as I have a little bit more look at the Daggerheart stuff, I'm also going to offer that in there as well.
Enchanté. So make sure you're following them all across their social medias and check that out and do the knowledge, get educated on all the causes that they talked about and help out where you can and also help out within your community. Playing games with people you love is a form of mutual aid, being there for people in these darkest of joyless times. Being full of joy and being full of happiness in and of itself is an act of revolution. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and you'll have a great day.